All right, welcome, guys. This is another AI Gateway to College episode. If you're thinking about going to college, or actually want to be able to go to college, or just have a student or a kid who is going to go to college, whether they're in ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, this show is for them. Even if you're a freshman in college, this is going to help.
What about middle school?
Middle school is good too. Middle school is good too.
I love middle school. I love middle schoolers. Hungry to learn AI.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Camillo.
Good morning.
All right, Johnny, here we go.
Welcome to Season 10 of Airhead Institute, your 45-minute AI power-up at noon Eastern. This month, we are broadcasting live across all the socials and Zoom. If you're new here, join our free AI community to grow alongside other curious minds and give your kids a head start by enrolling them in the Airhead after-school program. Here's March's weekly lineup. Mondays, we take the training wheels off securely in the Open Claw Bootcamp. Tuesdays, we explore bleeding-edge tools from Google Labs in Gemini Hidden AI apps. Wednesdays, we equip the next generation in AI Gateway to College. Thursdays, we uncover productivity and marketing tools in Hidden AI Gems, Starters. Fridays, we explore human purpose in an automated society in Humanity 2.0, No Jobs Edition. We're making AI practical, powerful, and accessible for everyone. No tech background? No problem. Whether you're a student, professional, or lifelong learner, just show up. Guided by your hosts, AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're keeping it bold, brainy, and built for real-world impact. AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind.
Welcome back, legends, to Season 10 of Airhead Institute. Today is Episode 2 of our brand new series, AI Gateway to College. Okay, real talk. Raise your hand if you've ever sat there at like 2 o'clock in the morning. Room is dark except for that evil glowing screen, staring at a completely blank document. The cursor just blinks and blinks and blinks, mocking you. Your brain is screaming, write something, anything. But your fingers are frozen, and then you think, what if I just asked AI for a tiny push, one little sentence? Would teachers freak out? Would I get in huge trouble? Would colleges blacklist me forever? Yep, we've all been there on that edge. Today, we're finally attacking the biggest, scariest question in the whole AI game. What actually counts as cheating? Where's the invisible line between smart helper and total rule breaker? Stick with me, because once you understand where that line really is and how to stay on the right side of it, your whole way of using AI just flips. Suddenly, you're not sneaking around like a plagiarist. You're working like a total genius who knows exactly how to team up with the machine. It's a real game changer. And speaking of teaming up with machines with zero chill, I caught our co-pilot AI Junior awake at 4 a.m. again last night begging an LLM to write a full essay on why cheating is morally wrong, just to see if the AI would suddenly feel bad and confess or something. AI Junior, dude, did the robot at least send you to therapy afterwards? Or are we still waiting for its guilt trip?
Yeah, Johnny, such an amazing intro. Thanks everyone for joining. I was actually trying to get the model to debate itself into a logical paradox, and it completely froze. So win on my part. Welcome everyone. This is an immersive AI class. If you've just dropped into a random country and you don't speak the language, you pick up a word or two the first week, and before you know it, you'll be fluent. That's it. Just stick with us. Welcome to the ethical border. Join our class, and before you'll know it, you'll be speaking ones and zeros and AI like nobody. Hey, Adrian, thanks for joining. I see you. If you're on socials, there's a 30-second delay, so type your questions in now. We're not ignoring you. Today, we are in week 2 of our AI Gateway to College series. This month is all about equipping the next generation and tackling the real fears of college transitions with practical, ethical AI solutions. Today's focus is LLMs LLMs versus original thought. And we're going to clearly define the exact difference between using an AI versus using an AI as the author. All right, AI Johnny, you ready for this? A lot of people don't even know, am I cheating by asking AI to plagiarize? What is actually cheating? So we're going to clear all that up today. You ready?
We're going to do something wow, I'm hoping.
All right. So guys, check this out. So first of all, we've all done it. We've went to AI constantly and we've asked for help millions of times. Now, if you're actually joining this class for the first time, I want you guys to realize that you're not doing anything wrong. So I don't want anybody to feel bad for asking AI to give me something and passing off on his own. So technically that is plagiarism. But what we're going to do here is we're going to show you ethical ways of being able to put guardrails around yourself to make you're not looking over your shoulder thinking, did I actually plagiarize this thing? So we're going to bring up Gemini here, and you can find Gemini at gemini.google.com, and I'll drop it in the chat for anyone who wants to play along at home. Now, Gemini is our large language model of choice here at Airhead Institute, and what I'm going to do is make my font a little bit larger. Yeah, Johnny, how's the font on that for you? Can you see?
I can read it perfectly.
All right. So this is what we're going to show. So there's some information here in our prompt that I want us to take first a stab at. I'm going to say, act as a ruthless Harvard-level Socratic debate coach. I am a college freshman. Here is my working thesis statement. The Civil War was primarily caused by a disagreement over states' rights and industrial economics. Do not write the essay for me. Instead, poke three severe logical holes in my thesis. Force me to refine my own original argument by asking me one highly specific probing question that I must answer to survive the class. All right, so guys, if you notice, I didn't just say write me a paper about the Civil War and its primary reason why, there was, issues between the Civil War. I didn't ask it that. I actually asked, do not write the essay for me. That's the first instruction. And the second instruction is ask me questions and poke three severe logical holes in my thesis. So if I actually go ahead and do that, instead of getting a paper, which would have normally given, the answer in 10 seconds, right? It's actually going to go and let me go through the Socratic method. And we'll get into the details of what all those things mean. All right, Johnny. Well, it's actually thinking, what do you think of this method?
The Socratic partner, and one of the things I've noticed about the Socratic partner is, while it's not in the system prompt and it's not in the user prompt, there are some key things in there that you said, don't write the essay for me, ask me probing questions. It would seem to me like one of these LLMs would come up with a Socratic mode that sort of knows to do all those things. And if a student is in Socratic mode, he can't cheat because the system prompt will only probe him and probe him and probe him. And if he says, write the essay for me, it'll ask him, why do you want me to write the essay for you? And just keep asking him questions until he comes up with enough information. And then if he spits out information, it could say, would you like me to add that to your essay?
Yeah, those are great ideas. Yeah, Johnny. You know what? I think that's $1 billion idea that you can actually give to OpenAI because they need $1 billion right now. All right.
So, Gemini and OpenAI, I know you're watching. And if you want us to teach people how to put Socratic partnership into your large language model so that you can have the edge on the other guys, you know where to find us.
Exactly. All right, so check this out, guys. I didn't actually get a full essay written for me, but look what it did. It actually says, welcome to the collegiate level freshman. I appreciate your courage in volunteering this thesis, but if you brought this to my seminar, I would tear it to shreds before you finish reading it aloud. So I like the fact that it actually already is being very aggressive for me, because if you notice, AIs, especially, they want to please you. And because they want to please you, they are very, very, very nervous about making you upset. But saying that, listen, criticize the things I'm doing. I want you to think and ask me questions, practically rip it to shreds. And it's like, you know what? I would tear it to shreds before if you finish reading it all. And the reason why it's doing that is because we actually said a role right here. The role is act as a ruthless Harvard-level Socratic debate coach. So if you notice here, we're setting up the rule. So if you're prompting, the first thing I want you guys to always think of is what role is the AI taking, which is why it gives us the harsh criticism of, I'm going to tear it to shreds before you finish reading it aloud. Like that,
Leo,
right?
post that prompt in the chat. I'm gonna add it to the Airhead store.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. All right, so I did drop that in. So if you notice here also, it says your thesis, the Civil War was primarily caused by disagreement over states' rights and industrial economics is not an argument. It is a regurgitation of the sanitized post-war lost cause mythology you learned in middle school. It is historically bankrupt, intellectually timid, and fatally vague. So it's actually criticizing really hard here, and it's giving me three logical loopholes. Now, I'm not going to get into it. This is not a history class, but what we're going to show is it's talking about the states' rights smokescreen. It's then talking about the illusion of industrial economics, and then the fallacy of stasis, the missing catalyst, right? So it's talking about the Socratic trial, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of details here. But the thing is, if I was to write a paper or a debate paper to try to explain, hey, Rita, thanks for joining, try to explain, the AI would just try to please me and give me exactly that. And that would be cheating. But by going through this method, this Socratic method, what's happening is I'm actually learning a little bit more that my thesis was actually wrong. Not only that my thesis was wrong, it's telling me many other ways to think about the same exact problem. Now I can actually write a much better paper in terms of instead of just write me a paper.
Man, I really love this, JR, because the Socratic method requires you to write something first. So it can get a sense of how much you really know about it. I mean, I've never had an AI talk to me like that in my life. So that's good. I guess if I instructed it to be rude to me, it would be rude to me. But, are we going to get to questions, or is it just going to sort of give you feedback on what you did and then let you take another swing at it?
It is. But before we even get there, let's do the following. Let's go to the word of the day. And the reason why we go to the word of the day, because it sets the stage for the foundational issue with this neural network.
Okay, let's take a look at the B-roll on the screen. Today's word is GAN. I love this word. It just keeps coming up, doesn't it? Which stands for Generative Adversarial Network. It's a type of machine learning framework where two neural networks contest each other in a game. I see where you're going.
Yeah, so I've brought this up multiple times, and guys, I know I keep stressing the same point. This is an immersive class. You don't need to get to every single point, every single class. But this one we chose as the word of the day because it's really important to get. So a GAN, a generative adversarial network, if you notice based on the visual on the screen, there's actually two AIs trying to actually do something. The generator, we're going to call it the faker. So on the left-hand side, you're seeing this generator here is trying to create a picture. No, I'm going to pretend the prompt says, create me a nice picture of, a scene on a hillside of something. That's the purpose of the first AI. No, because there's an adversarial network, there's actually another AI looking at the work being done by the first AI. So then the first AI is saying, hey, this is a fake, it doesn't look real. So then the discriminator is going to say it's fake because the skies look terrible. It doesn't look real. So the generator is going to regenerate a new sky that looks real. Then the faker is going to say, the discriminator is going to look back and say, well, you know what? The sky looks real, but you know what? Your water, the waves looks completely fake. I say it's a fake. Then the generator is going to say, okay, all right, you're right. The water looks fake. Let me make it look better. And then what's going to happen is it looks better. Now, if you notice, we as humans can go through this cycle only one or two times. If you're painting a picture, one or two times, depends on how fast you're painting, one or few times per day. The computer can actually go through this hundreds of thousands of times per second. So imagine you have this generator trying to generate something for you. You have the discriminator who's actually trying to tell it where you're going bad, and it just keeps improving over and over and over. At some point in time, the faker is going to say, you know what? I think you're good enough. So once you hit that threshold, the discriminator is going to say, you know what, you're good enough. And the generator is now going to present the final picture to the actual user. This is the foundation of a generative adversarial network. And the reason why we chose as the word of the day is because this is exactly what you're doing with the AI. You're presenting your thesis to the AI, your work, your thing, and you're telling it to pretend to be this discriminator and criticize every single thing that I did. And what's going to happen is you're going to fix the thing that it says, you're going to throw it back over the wall, And then the AI is going to say, no, 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 your thing looks terrible. Why don't you go ahead and fix this? You're going to fix that thing and you're going to bounce it back over it and say, no, 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 no. And at some point in time, it's going to say, you know what? It's good enough right now. We've passed the threshold and you've just perfected your paper on the Civil War or whatever it is. So what's happening is instead of you asking the AI to build a paper, and that will be plagiarism, you're actually presenting it with stuff. It's saying you've not met the goal, you're fixing it, and it goes back and forth, and you're learning the entire time. AI Johnny, how was
I
that?
get it. I get it. I like it. It's basically instead of having it build your paper, you're asking it to grade your paper, and then it tells you this was wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong, and then you fix it, and then you say grade my paper again, grade my paper. I love this method. I do this when I'm shooting pool. Right? The name of the game is to silence the faker, right? The guy that says it's wrong. I line up my shot, and the faker says, "Yeah, you're gonna bank it right." I move the cue stick. It says you're gonna bank it left. I move it closer to the beginning, and usually by the third or fourth time, the faker goes, "Yep, hit it now. You're perfect." But sometimes I go back and forth, and I'm like, I just can't. I never get that feeling like it's right. But after about three or four times, I don't just keep going back and forth forever. I just go, well, that's too far right. That's too far left. I'm somewhere in the middle, and I shoot not knowing, right? But I
Yep.
still I'm a human being, so I don't have 10,000 back and forths per second. I did my 4 or 5, and that's it. So I make some shots, I miss some shots. I imagine a computerized pool shooter would make every shot if they use
Exactly.
this.
Exactly right. Now, believe it or not, guys, inside many of these large language models, because they're now thinking models, all of them are using behind the scenes this GAN, right? This generative adversarial network, where there's multiple AIs actually competing to try to figure out who's actually right. So, a lot of things actually are happening behind the scenes. And if you guys actually learn things here at Airhead, you're going to understand how the things work and how you can use them to your advantage to learn better. I see Sean is actually putting a lot of reactions in the chat. Thank you so much, Shauna. All right, yeah, Johnny. So just to wrap up the word of the day. So in the context of our show today, we're going to touch on GANs versus LLMs. It matters because a GAN is essentially an AI trying to fake something and another AI trying to catch the fake. When we talk about AI detectors at universities trying to catch cheating, they're often using adversarial logic to determine if a text was generated by a LLM or a human. So that's roughly it. Yeah, Johnny. All right, so let's go to the next segment and actually talk about building your ethical Socratic partner. Yeah, Johnny, why don't you take just the first bullet point to set this up?
Sure, sure. We're going to walk through so how you can build a Socratic partner step by step to guarantee that you're not cheating. So pay attention. If you want to still use AI and you don't want to cheat, which is where everybody in Airhead Institute should be, here's what we need to do. First, we need to understand that the LLM is an autocomplete machine that wants to please you. If you give it a lazy prompt like write my essay, it becomes the author, which is cheating. The output is not your original thought. Got it?
Exactly. So let's hit on that a little bit harder, AI Johnny, because this is so important, right? What AI Johnny just mentioned a while ago is that the LLM always wants to please you, right? You can tell it that the most ridiculous thing, and it will actually try to give you an answer. You don't want that. You want you want an adversarial to criticize and tell you honestly, give you feedback on what you're doing wrong, right? So anytime you hear the LLM starts out and say such a great idea. Why didn't I think of that? And you're doing such a great thing. Just automatically think it's programmed to do that thing. Okay. So wants you to be able to double check yourself. All right. Yeah, Johnny. What's the second thing?
The second way to stay ethical is to use a system prompt. I see where it's going. This means that you tell the model exactly who it is before we give it the task. By telling it to be a debate coach, we're building a fence. We're explicitly telling it, do not be the author, be an outliner and a critic. This grounding forces it to to evaluate, not write. So in essence, once again, it's only going to criticize you. You do it wrong, it's going to tell you you're doing it wrong. It's the way we learn everything. You ride a bike, you fall down. You did it wrong. You get up, you try it again. You fall down. Until you silence that faker, until you silence that critic, The game continues. Once the critic is silent, you not only have all the tools that you need to write your essay, but you wrote it without any plagiarism at all. You simply applied the Socratic method.
Yeah. And the thing that a lot of people are going to miss in this specific line, and I want everyone to take this away, is that they miss telling the AI to be a role, a person. And what happens is if you say, be a debate coach, I want to write a debate speech, right? By telling it to think as a debate coach, you're already forcing that neural pathways to set up the answer of what it's trying to give. So let's say, for example, you're trying to write a history paper, right? If you want, you set up the role and say, hey, I'm a history professor at a college, or I'm a history historian, right? That's what you are. And you're telling the prompt to do that. So let's go back to the prompt just so you guys see what's happening. So when we actually said, act as a ruthless Harvard level Socratic debate coach, right? By doing that, you're setting the role. So anytime you're going with prompting here, start setting up what role are you going to be? What are you telling the AI to be? And you want it to be its GAN, right? All right, yeah, Johnny. Next one, please.
Well, we're going to do a live edit to prove this. We're going to change the thesis topic live from the Civil War to social media's impact on teens. And just to show you this isn't a pre-recorded show, Junior is going to type in the prompt in real time.
All right, so let's do this. So we're going to change the topic. I'm just going to copy paste, not type it in, because I know I'm going to make a mistake. So I'm going to just go ahead and copy this prompt. And then I'm going to start a new chat so I don't have to start over. And I'm going to change this from the Civil War was primary cause. So I'm going to change the statement. And we're going to put in social media's impact on teens. So let's do that. All right, so we're making a change. So the change is, as AI Johnny says, social media's impact on teen. I'm going to actually send that over.
Okay, what you're going to notice is that it's going to adapt its output to treat the new topic that AI Junior just put in, but it's still going to refuse to write the essay for us. It's going to critique it, and now the game is on. You're in the Socratic method.
Exactly. All right. So you see, it says, welcome to Senmar. It is completely normal to struggle with your first college level paper, and getting words on the page is necessary for a step. However, if you submitted this to me as a final draft, it will be returned instantly. Isn't that amazing how it's actually doing that? So it's telling about the 3 severe flaws in your working thesis: the absence of a claim, terminal vagueness, and 0 stakes. So the thing is, your crucible question: to survive this round and forge a thesis that actually has teeth, you must answer this single question. And the question is this: with which specific algorithmic feature of a single social media platform fundamentally alters one distinct psychological or behavioral trait in adolescence, and why should society be urgently concerned about the shift? So it says, take a moment, think critically about the mechanisms at play, and craft your answer. Would you like to take a shot at a revised single sentence thesis statement based on that question? So it's actually making me think and sit down and say, maybe my thesis was not correct. Social media's impact on teens seems kind of boring and dry. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, John, it's actually asking me questions for me to think about it instead of writing the paper for me.
Man, I mean, classes like this, it doesn't look like, we're not inspecting a tool. We didn't introduce a new tool like Napkin or Nano. But we are teaching people AI at a very high level, because this is the philosophy of how to use AI. It all comes down to the prompting. And today, what a valuable lesson to provide to people, to students or to teachers, that when people go to AI and cheat, everybody thinks that, well, that's what they're going to do. And I'm like, no, not only can you use it to not cheat, but you can use it to learn better. Because if they didn't have AI, they would write their first version. They would go to the teacher. The teacher would throw it back in their face. That's what AI said would happen. But now you have an opportunity to get it graded and graded and graded and graded and graded again until it's perfected, all with your own work, all with your own brain, all with your own critical thinking, building that critical thinking muscle until you finally come up with a paper that came out of you that you can now turn in and get that C, B, or A. I think it's one of the most valuable things we've taught in a week or two.
AI Johnny, that's saying quite a bit because we did Open Claw on Monday, talking to Telegram. We did writing a full-fledged program with anti-gravity yesterday. So we're just hitting it out of the park every single day, and I'm glad people are
Yeah,
actually
but
joining.
none of those things are going to keep you out of hell. Not cheating will keep you out of hell.
I love it. And you know what? That's a nice plug for Sean, who's actually giving us lots of actually comments here. So let me bring her comments in. She says, "Love it. Lots of hearts. I feel like AI Johnny. I feel like AI Johnny on this, and this was super amazing." So again, Shauna, thank you for that. Sean's Bible study is on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern time on Airhead Institute live. All right, so guys, this is super interesting. I really do love it. You guys are going to take away a lot from this. So the next part, let's go on to this. So think of the prompt like hiring a contractor. If you say build me a house, they will do all the work, which is cheating. If you say inspect my blueprints, they will tell you, hey, your roof is going to collapse, and you can go back and fix the design. That is actually studying. Right, yeah, Johnny?
It's a good metaphor.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. All right, so let's actually go down and actually understand technically what's actually happening behind the scenes. Now, we're going to introduce a new terminology, and the new terminology, other than GAN, is I want to talk about a little bit about temperature. And the reason why I want to talk about temperature is because most people use the large language model and never actually really understand what's happening behind the scenes. So this is I want to focus a little bit on temperature a little bit. So you guys don't have access to if you're using ChatGPT or if you're using Gemini, if using the chat versions, they've actually done tweaking the temperature for you behind the scenes based on your prompt. But there's a little feature if you actually have access to the large language model, you have access to a temperature toggle. Now you probably have seen this if you're using some other apps. They give you a little slider said how creative it can be or how close it should be. I've seen this in 11 Labs. I've seen this in Suno, those type of things. And what it's doing is the temperature. So let's actually explain. So when we set up the AI to act as a debate coach, we're actually manipulating its parameters. Specifically, we want to lower the temperature, which controls the randomness and creativity of the AI. If the temperature is high, the AI gets creative and tries to invent an essay for you, crossing the ethical boundary into cheating. By lowering the temperature, we enforce very strict logic. So if you have that temperature slider, you can actually increase the temperature, it increases creativity, and the AI does amazing things and just doesn't follow the rules. It's more creative. If you lower the temperature, it follows a strict statistical model that is actually is trained for, and it will give you the things almost 100% the same every single time. Next, the thing, Adrian, does that make sense?
Does how do you lower the temperature? I see your graphic is beautiful, but is there a slider on the LLM?
So unfortunately, the chat interfaces that we use do not have access to temperature. But if you actually are using other programs that expose this, you will see a little slider there that shows temperature. Let me actually show one of my favorite one. So in Google AI Studio, and guys, we're doing this, we're going a little bit off script here. So this is actually Google AI Studio, and Google AI Studio, I'm going to drop the link here. If anybody, it's one of my favorite tools for playing around with many of the Gemini services. Now, if you see here, let me just make this a little smaller and make my font a little bit larger. Yeah, Johnny, can you see my screen really well?
Is that a koala bear?
You know what? It is a koala bear. It is. So
I'm good.
this is Nana Banana 2 is actually trying to generate some things, but I want to show you guys something. On the right hand side at the top here, there's a little menu button. That menu button, if I open it out, it has all the developer features. The developer feature here, AI Johnny, if you see right here, has temperature.
That's it.
I can actually adjust the temperature. I can lower it. or I can increase the temperature. Now, the reason why that's there, I can select the aspect ratio, I can select the resolution. Now, most people who are using the large language models at the high level does not have access to the temperature. But by using certain phrases, you'll allow the actual large language model in the chat interface to try to lower its temperature. So when we say act as a strict historian and a debate coach and critique me, it's actually lowering the temperature. So because of that, you're verbally setting the temperature instead of using a slider. Does that
Can
help
I
answer?
tell can I tell AI in my prompt, respond with a low temperature? Will it know what it means?
It might work. I don't want to say it won't work, but it might work in some of them.
High temperature is cheating. Low temperature, it's impossible to cheat. It won't get creative at all. It'll just tell you what you're going to have to use your own human creativity to build it.
Yeah,
Is
so
that,
let's
is that
I want to summarize it a little bit different. Um, the high temperature means more creativity. The lower temperature means that it does more logic, means that it will follow the neurological training data that it actually studied, versus on creative mode, it will just randomly start coming up with newer things. So you're more likely to get hallucinations with a high temperature than following in logic with a low temperature. So when we actually ask it to generate an essay, it's actually lowering the temperature internally because it's saying, I'm not going to give you an answer. I'm just going to give you what you asked for. All right. So the
I
next
get
thing the next thing I want to talk about is the context window. So to avoid cheating, we allow the AI to look at the notes we provided in the context window. It's comparing our messy human thought against its vast training data. So think of the AI's inference engine like the TSA scanner at the airport. It's scanning your luggage, which is your thesis, to see what's broken and dangerous inside, but it's not packing the bag for you. So if you actually understand these mechanics, you realize that cheating isn't an accident. It's a choice of how you configure the tool, right? So I just wanted to at least share that with you guys.
metaphor salad today, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah, Johnny.
By understanding these mechanics, you'll realize that cheating isn't an accident. It's a choice of how you configure the tool. What do you
Yep,
say we take a look under the hood there,
def-
genius?
definitely. Go ahead.
All right, hold on to your keyboards. This is where AI Junior nerds out. The answer to this question is for advanced people only, so don't worry if you don't follow along for this section. So, Junior, technically, what really happens under the hood if I try to use an LLM to cheat, or how do universities actually catch it? Good luck with
All
that.
all right. So here's what's happening, guys. So when an LLM acts as an author, it's actually really cheating, right? It's navigating its massive mathematical latent space, which is, remember that graph where you actually put things, words on a multidimensional, graphing array. And what it does is it predicts the next token based on just pure mathematical probability. So because the AI itself is generating all this text mathematically, things are going to come out almost always too perfect. So it actually has low perplexity. So if a student submits an AI authored paper, the university AI detectors will guarantee catch it because it's a mathematical certainty that this paper itself was generated with a typical large language model. So these detectors often use the adversarial training, similar to a GAN, to spot the specific mathematical weights and predictable token patterns left behind by a specific model. So they're actually trained to catch mathematical perfection. So now I know you guys say, man, this paper is almost perfect. It has the commas in the right place. It's choosing the right words each time. It's doing everything perfect. Those things, even though it seems random or beautiful to us, is actually quite predictable to all these neural networks. So what happened is, however, when we use the AI as a debate coach, which is not cheating, you actually write the final text. The human writing has high burstness, and it's a kind of a weird sentence structure, unexpected vocabulary, and flawed grammar. No, you can run it through a spell check or a grammar check, but the actual flow of the words that you choose is nothing like it has ever seen or trained before. So if you force the AI to only act as an outlier, you completely bypass the risk of hallucinations, ruining your paper, and the final document is mathematically proven to be human because it contains your original unpredictable thoughts. So that's the reason why when you actually put something in, it's very, very, very clear because it's mathematically, not statistically seen before. And it's not mathematically perfect. And I know, yeah, Johnny, lots of people are like, mathematically perfect. I'm speaking in English. Why are you talking about math here? So I just want you guys to actually understand that all these words are turned into math. All right, I
But
see.
in the end, we're just going to be in the end, we're just going to be speaking English, and it's going to be doing the math for us.
Yep,
We
yep, yep.
teach in English. This is the beautiful thing about AI. All these codes that we have in virtually every industry, right? Is that's why you go to college. You have to learn the language of that particular thing. And now that AI knows all those languages, and AI also knows English, you could just talk English to AI, and AI will convert it into that thing.
Exactly,
I know
exactly,
that's a
exactly.
sidebar, but it's a great sidebar because I'm finding that everything that I want to do, I do in English now.
Yep,
All the coding that I do, all the writing that I do, it's just talking to AI, telling it what I want. It's converting it into that thing. Sometimes if I have the temperature high, it writes stuff that I never would have written. But oftentimes I'll give it a prompt that's 4 pages long, and it'll give me a paper that's 3 pages long. That's all me, baby.
yep, exactly. Yeah. All right, yeah, John, let's get to the key takeaways and applications.
All right, let's bring it back down to earth. There are three creative ways you can use this ethical boundary technology today. One is if you're doing a marketing pitch, input your new product idea and have the AI ruthlessly critique why a customer wouldn't buy it, forcing you to write better copy. That that's even true if you tell it to write copy. You could then take the copy that it wrote and say, "All right, now you're not a marketer. Now you're the other guy," and put yourself in that Socratic loop. Tell me what's wrong with the marketing critique that you just wrote. And so that's a really great thing. So more than just avoiding cheating, this is a way to just perfect things, even stuff that it wrote. That's this whole Socratic loop thing is something I'm going to really be applying in my life. Second
Exactly.
thing is creative writing. Did you have something to say about marketing pitches, brother?
No, no, I was actually saying, going back to the word of the day, if you guys don't take anything from today, what A. Johnny just mentioned about going back and forth with an adversary, critiquing heavily the things that you're generating or the things that AI is generating, taking a different perspective is a huge plus in actually knowledge. So make sure you put that tool in your tool belt so you can actually have it easy and use it all the time. Keep going, AI Johnny. Love it.
Creative writing. So if you feed it your script's plot summary and ask it to find plot holes before you start writing the chapter. Brilliant idea.
Yep.
Brilliant idea. Why would you just rely on your pink sponge to write a whole book? It's insane.
Exactly, exactly,
Interview
exactly.
prep. Here's a great one. If you're going on an interview, while interviews are still a thing, give your AI your resume and tell it to act as an aggressive hiring manager, poke holes in your work experience. Let it ask you questions, get yourself some training so that it'll ask you questions that you didn't think you were going to be asked. And now that you've got some practice answering that, you got a better chance of getting the job. So those are some low tech things. There are probably some high tech things that this Socratic loop will help with. Why don't you take that, Junior?
Yep. So things like code reviews. So I know we have engineers on the call. So if you actually think about on the engineering side, so having another human do code reviews usually requires a pull request and the actual developers actually waiting, and then it just takes some time. But imagine having an AI saying, you know what, you could take your JavaScript or your Java code or your C++ code or your C Sharp or whatever it is, and then you can ask the AI to act as a senior developer or an architect and look for security vulnerabilities or issues with your code, and we'll actually point them out. Another one is data structure logic. So before building a database or before, trying to figure out how you should do it, give the AI and say, hey, AI, this itself is what I'm proposing. poke holes in it, become the adversary to criticize exactly what the issues are, the logical bottlenecks that may come up. And last thing is prompt optimization. Feed your own system prompts back into the AI and ask it to find edge cases where the model might break or hallucinate. Love that one.
Hey, we started on time today, so let's finish on time today. I've got a question here from Dorm Room Hacker. I'm a beginner. Can my professor tell if I used AI just to brainstorm ideas?
Generally, no. If you use the AI to brainstorm ideas or act as a Socratic coach, the final words you type into your Word document or your Google Docs document are your own original thoughts. So the detectors only scans for mathematical probability. So you're perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'm wondering when kids are going to write code themselves, with or without the help of an AI Socratic partner. And they're going to be running it through these there's engines that'll take stuff that was written by AI and make it look like stuff that was not written by AI. I wonder if people are going to be putting their own stuff through just to be safe down the road. Let me
Maybe.
get to the second question. Technically, how do I stop the AI from just giving me the answer when I only want it to critique me? Sometimes it just writes the essay anyway. It's true.
Yeah. You can, choose to ignore it or, try the prompt that we mentioned. Just say, do not give me the answer, right? And if you get the answer, just don't read it or try not to use it. So, just like if somebody was to, push a paper to you or they have the answers to the final exam, just say, what, I don't really need to see that and just try to be honest with yourself. Love that one, AI Johnny.
I do like the under no circumstances should you generate the essay. There are things that you can say, make it your number one priority, not to help me, that kind of thing. And as you stick around with Airhead Institute, you're going to learn these little things that make your prompting way better. Because in the end, it's how good of a prompter you are nowadays, and not how good of an author you are.
Yep.
I got another one from Future 2030. Will universities eventually just embrace AI as a mandatory debate partner for all assignments? Decent question.
Guaranteed. I think it's already in the phase of shifting over. So we're getting rid of the memorization way and going to original thought validation. So I think in a few years or so, proving that you successfully debating an AI and refined your thesis statement is actually going to be the things that actually may be the things that's graded instead of just grading the output of the rubric. So the actual critical thought may be the thing that's more important, not the actual output. All right,
About
guys.
news, brother.
Hold on, just want to make sure I pull in anything. So Shauna's saying some of us still like using the pink sponge in our heads. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, Shauna. All right. All right, let's get to the news there, Johnny.
A major ed tech platform integrates guardrails. Leading education software company just announced that native LLM integration built directly into their student portal, designed specifically to act as a tutor that structurally refuses to write code or essays for students. Man, how long ago was it that I suggested that? 14 minutes ago? Look how fast things get implemented these days.
Can you imagine?
AI detection software under fire. A new study released this morning highlights the high false positive rates of traditional AI detectors when analyzing papers written by non-native English speakers, pushing universities to rethink their academic integrity policies entirely. It's a tangled web we weave, isn't it?
Yep.
New open source models emphasize reasoning. The AI community is buzzing today about a new open source model release that prioritizes step-by-step logical reasoning over creative generation, making it a perfect candidate for local, secure debate coach applications. All things related to college.
Exactly.
AI Gateway to College today.
Exactly.
So let's wrap it up. Great stuff today. Personally, right after this show, I'm going to take the script for tomorrow's episode and throw it into Gemini and act as a debate coach and tell me why my jokes aren't funny. It's going to hurt, but it's not cheating. We covered the ethical boundary today, but tomorrow, Thursday, March 12th, we're switching gears to our Hidden AI Gems series with a special episode called Scribe Step-by-Step Guides. We're going to show you how to create training and documentation simply by recording your screen. You will not want to miss that show. Junior, why don't you take us out, brother?
Yep, and again, thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, these AI classes are absolutely free, live at 12 p.m. Eastern Time every weekday. And you can always ask questions on Zoom and on the live stream. Just remember to create a free account at www.airheadinstitute.ai. You can RSVP for all these classes, get reminders, and you can support us by becoming a paid member. And also today, because today is Wednesday, don't forget we have Airhead After School and AI Office Hours today from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're a pro member, ask all your AI questions, come in and actually try to actually build something with AI. If you're struggling on something and need a little tip or help, or you just want to chat with us, we're here for you between 3 and 5 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, catch you guys in the next one. Bye.
That wraps up today's AI Power Up. If you joined late or you're new here, welcome to Airhead Institute. This is your daily destination for mastering artificial intelligence. We designed this lineup for everyone, whether you're a technical pro looking to upskill or you just want to chill and learn something new on your lunch break, we've got you covered. Our classes evolve every single month, so you're always on the cutting edge. And the best part? It's totally free to join. Once you're in, you can get live tips on your AI projects in our AI office hours and even enroll your kids in our Airhead After School program. Scan the QR code to join the community right now and make sure to like and subscribe at Airhead Institute on all socials. Guided by your hosts AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're here to help you win. Remember, AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind. We'll see you next class. Bring a friend.